So I've mentioned before how my three favourite characters of all time are Tony Soprano from The Sopranos, Russ Cole from the first season of True Detective, and Trevor Phillips from Grand Theft Auto 5. And they're all kind of men who operate outside what is the fashionable morality of the day, and they honour some internal compass. They've lived long enough to know that laws change and that right and wrong changes, and there's always a fashionable new thing to be against or be for, and they're sick of it, and they can see that just this endless circle of bullshit, that to hold ideals that present you as a good person today you'll be a bad person in 20 years with those exact same ideals. They kind of go, most of these rules are fake worry disguised as laws. And you've got to try and work out your own sense of your own jail walls, not be prescribed them. If you scrape below and beneath the surface of all that, they're trying to be good people. They don't fit in. In a way, I kind of feel like that's how most artists operate as well. I feel like it's an artist's job to operate beyond 20 years from now or 20 years into the past, and nothing in between that 40-year gap of right now. And so these three people, they do a kind of a male interiority that doesn't exist, or it's very rarely written about, and only a lot of the authors from last century, old books, would talk about this male interiority that isn't really documented or written about now. And in that old school male interiority, it often has to be portrayed as they're a stuff up or they're crazy. So you have to sort of dig a little and sort of take cherry pick the bits from these characters that could get me through. That could get anyone through. They got me through. They're the three characters, and that the old books that saved me in a world through my 30s and early 40s when I felt, oh my God, I'm just falling. I don't want to be here anymore. Nothing makes sense. What I'm told to listen to, I felt like it was warping my sense of what was inside me, my intuition, and what I should be listening to. And it was only those three characters and really old books that made sense to me somehow. I don't know how, but they did. And they made me feel sane. So anyway, I posted a picture of Trevor Phillips from Grand Theft Auto 5 on my stories from Instagram a few weeks ago. And I wrote how I love just sitting with Trevor. I don't play Grand Theft Auto. I love playing Trevor Phillips, that character, and just putting him on a highway somewhere, and just letting him stand there through days and nights and rain and sunshine, thunder and wind and everything. Just let him stand there, and cars go past, people walk past him, and I'm just busy on the couch writing or doing my thing, and I look up every now and again. He's like a little human fish tank with Trevor just standing there. And I love that. And so I took a photo of Trevor just standing there and posted it on my stories. And Stephen Ogg, actor who plays him, and however I already follow, I love his gallery of artistic shenanigans on Instagram. It always makes me feel fun. I love watching what he does. And anyway, he saw it. He saw my story. And he posted it, and he just said, I love this sort of stuff. And so I responded. I said, thank you, Stephen. And I shared his story, which it becomes a bit of a hall of mirrors. Anyway, after we swapped a couple of messages, and I asked Stephen, would you like to read one of my poems as a little collab? And I was like, oh no, I can't believe I asked him that. And he actually said yes. And then he did, and he posted it. This is a poem that I'd written. I can't hear it anymore. I posted it too many times. It's something I wrote for You're Gonna Be Okay. I decided not to put Stephen Ogg's rendition of my poem in here, but it goes, we're all weird, everyone's pretending, no one knows what they're doing. Do whatever you want. Have you tried that yet? It's fucking amazing. And don't worry, it all works out in the end, because nothing works out in the end. And finally, everything's all for nothing. What a relief. You don't have to do any of this shit. But he does it amazing. And I'll put the link in the show notes, or YouTube or Spotify, wherever you're listening to this, to his original Instagram post that you can check out. I think it's up to a few million views. He does it so well. I love his performance so much. It's like my 1 plus his 2 equals fucking 10 or something. It brings me so much joy. It made me hear the words for the first time in a long time again. His performance of it made me cry laugh and choke laugh the first few times I watched it. I probably watched it about 15 to 20 times, maybe even more, maybe 30. I don't know. 30 minutes of watching him just go bananas and bring that beautiful vibe to it, and ad-lib the barber in there. But yeah, it made me, it was such a weird full circle moment where one of my favorite artists, and his art is acting, it brought life to something that I was okay. My words are okay, but he brought something else to it that there's no way. I've tried performing it and it goes all right, but he brought an energy to it that I just didn't expect. And I was like, oh my God, the confidence to hold those pauses, to just everything about it. It just, yeah. But I've never collaborated before. I tried in my 20s and it didn't work. I had too much of a sense of how something should be, but I've never had someone I've collaborated with become more than the sum of its parts, and that's what he did. he brought magic to it. But yeah, I love those. I love the monologues from my 3 favorite characters. There was Tony Soprano, who was trying to do good, but he just couldn't. He was a fuck up. There was Russ Cole, who was trying to do good, but he was struggling after his daughter died, so he just went full blown loner, and had these beautiful monologues that were kind of nihilistic, but flipped into light. That's what I find with nihilism, when it can be done in a way that can flip into light, where nothing matters, and then it's just like it screams through. And maybe it only works for some people. Maybe some people just hear the words and that's it, and they stop there. Something shuts down in them, and that they can't see the light on the other side of it. It's sort of the difference between saying nothing matters with a smile or nothing matters with tears. When nothing matters in a good way, it means everything matters. But when nothing matters in a really sad way, you no longer have the capacity to truly care. That's how I feel anyway. Darkness can flip into light, and I love that. And Trevor Phillips' character, played by Stephen Ogg, it's kind of that trickster, beautiful, maniacal, but honourable, and he loves his friends, and beautifully brought to life by Stephen Ogg. Without Stephen Ogg, there'd be no Trevor. And so, yeah, there was James Gandolfini, Matt McConaughey, and Stephen Ogg. And part of me feels like I've always kind of written from that male interiority perspective, me against the world, and not in a woe is me kind of way, just in it doesn't make sense. I'm going to try and make sense of my own inner self. Thank you. I'm not going to have prescription award-winning books and stories telling me how the deepest, truest parts of me should feel. Those 3 characters made me feel less lonely in a world when I really did. I felt so lonely, and I love Stephen Ogg's energy for that. But yeah, I guess that's one thing my 3 favorite characters all have in common. There's this call to adventure, not a call to safe spaces, and pushing the boundaries of home and finding life and adventure outside it. And it's funny because this week I went over to the other side of town where I used to live, what I used to call home in my 30s and 40s, and I didn't feel a sense of home there at all. Even though it's a more beautiful suburb, it's probably a bit more expensive to live in than where I live now. Where I live now is pretty, anything's going to happen on the street. But I feel more of a sense of home for the first time in my whole life. Going over to the other side of town, I didn't realise how maybe lonely I was through my 30s and 40s, and how these old writers and characters brought me this sense of comfort when the idea and sense of home did not exist for me. Even though I had a life storage outpost unit of bed, toilet and fridge that I tried to kind of make as comfy and cozy as possible. But it's only in the last few years I finally feel like I have a sense of home. So I've been able to write these crazy things that I wasn't able to when I was actually living them at the time. So from this comfortable place of finally I feel like I'm at home, the first time in my life at the age of 50, I was able to write about the crazy stuff now that I'm removed from it. Or just not even crazy stuff, just crazy thoughts that I had and I'd lived 10, 15 years ago. And anyway,